Good evening. Welcome to tonight's story. Tonight's story is set in ancient Arabia. A cold, gentle breeze passes through the desert dunes one night. It's a clear sky in the desert, and the stars have lit up the night sky. Wind is blowing the desert sand. A tired and exhausted man is walking through the desert alone at night, looking for some sign of nomads in the desert so he could finally get some water to drink. His clothes are worn out. He is wearing a turban with a long torn cloth around his face to protect him from the desert sand. He has been walking for a few nights and resting during the day due to the intense heat of the sun. His name is Amal. Let's begin our story. That night, Amal continued to walk through the desert for a few more miles and crawled to the top of a dune. He couldn't believe his eyes. In the distance, he saw a light. He started to laugh with joy as he finally found some hope to get some water. Amal started to run through the sand with his torn sandals in the hope to finally get some water past his dry lips. And as he got closer to the light, he saw that it's a fire with a tent next to it. He saw some people and yelled out to them. They looked at him, and one of them quickly ran up towards Amal and grabbed him. Amal kept repeating, "Water, water." He sat Amal down, and a lady ran out of the tent and gave water to her husband, who told Amal to drink it very slowly. Amal couldn't wait and started to gulp down as fast as he could, with some of the water dripping down his face onto his torn clothes. After drinking, he passed a clay jug to the man, thanking him for it. The man told Amal to sit down on the cushion and rest his head, and he told him that his name was Yasar and his wife was Husna, and that they were nomads in the desert. He was lucky to have found them, as their family of nomads had moved on, but they stayed for the last few nights. Yasar, the nomad, saw Amal shivering and went into his tent, got some more wood for the fire, and he put the wood into the fire, which was nearly dying, and it started to ignite again, with its embers being carried away into the desert by the wind. Yasar then told his wife to fetch some food they had for dinner earlier and bring it out. Husna ran into the tent and brought out a lamb curry with some bread and gave it to Amal. He started to eat it frantically, as he didn't eat for the last few days. Amal ate and asked if he could have some more food. Husna brought out some more bread with dates, and Amal thanked her while eating this. And after a while, of eating the food, Amal gave the clay pot back and thanked both of them for the food and their hospitality. He was finally full. Yasar made some Arabic tea on top of the fire, and all three of them had it as they sat around the fire in that cold Arabian night in the desert. Yasar asked Amal who he was and how he ended up being lost in the desert for days. Amal, holding his tea, sat back comfortably on the rug and adjusted his cushion before he told his story. He told Yasar that he was a carpenter in a village in a faraway place from here. He was married with 3 children. He was a very famous one and had people from faraway villages to come to him and asked him to make their furniture. He was making a great living and then moved to a bigger house with a courtyard. He was finally able to see his family happy, and nothing brought him more comfort and joy than seeing his children play in the courtyard as he worked on his furniture. Amal told Yasar and Husna that they became quite wealthy and his wife started to wear beautiful clothes and jewelry. However, he told Yasar that after a while they became very arrogant and unthankful. They did not help the poor and used to scream and shout at the poor who would come knocking at their door asking for food. And one night, when Amal's wife heard a knock at the door, she thought another poor person had come asking for food again. When she opened the door, there was nobody there. She went back into the kitchen and heard a knock again. This time, she became quite angry and took a pot of boiling hot water and decided to throw it on whoever was annoying her. As soon as she opened the door, she threw the boiling hot water out. And surprisingly, there was nobody there again. She screamed and shouted unpleasant words and closed the door behind her. That night, it was a very dark night, darker than usual and colder than usual. Amal's wife got changed and went straight to bed. However, she woke up in the middle of the night, screaming and shouting. She was screaming in a language that he had never heard before. He tried to hold her down and calm her down, but she kept on screaming and kicking. Amal called out for his son, who told his son to go and get the local village religious cleric, the imam. His son ran out into the street in the middle of the night, and after a while, the cleric and his son came running in to the room. The cleric was holding the Holy Quran, and he started reciting the holy verses, and his wife started to scream louder and louder, as if she was in a lot of pain. The cleric did not stop, and his wife then spoke in Arabic and begged him to stop. The cleric asked her who it was that was speaking in a manly voice from his wife's body. The manly voice then replied that it was a jinn. It had possessed his wife, as she had killed the jinn's son by throwing boiling hot water on him as he was playing around knocking at their door that night. And the jinn promised the cleric that it would not let go of the wife The cleric continued to recite, and the jinn kept on screaming. Finally, after a few hours, there was a complete silence. Amal told Yasar they didn't know if the jinn had left his wife's body, but the cleric stayed that night until dusk. Amal told Yasar that they continued to pray for many nights. He stopped working as he needed to look after his wife, and the income stopped. They finally became totally reliant on the villagers' charity for food. His wife's health started to deteriorate, and one night, when they were all sleeping, she screamed in agony and died a horrific death. One day, the children left home looking for food, and they never returned. Amal started to search for them in the village, and then onto the roads, and finally into the desert, where he got lost. And that's how Yasar and Husna found him, searching for his children. He has been searching for days and nights, but he can't find them. Just then, the fire went out. It was pitch black in the desert. Yasar then spoke. Amal, do you know now how painful it is to lose a child? Do you know the pain, the agony of losing a child? Amal started to shiver. Yasar's eyes started to light up with fire. And now, Husna spoke in a heartbreaking voice. Do you know the pain of a mother? We are no nomads. We are jinns. Your wife killed our only son. Your wife broke our world into pieces. And tonight, we will complete our oath. We have been waiting for you for many nights in the desert. You were the last of the family, and we will kill you tonight. Amal screamed as he saw the real images of the jinns. They say when a person is born, a jinn is appointed to that person until he lives. That jinn, your jinn, has been next to you, listening to this story. Good night.